Hello, beautiful, and welcome back to the Shannon Blanchard podcast. I am so happy to have you here. Today's episode is a bit of an activation, okay? This is a portal that I am inviting you to walk through, an invitation to come back to who you are and remember everything that you are capable of. I want to encourage you to go after your fullest potential and to get everything that you desire out of this life. And so I want you to walk away feeling really motivated, remembering, like I said, what you are capable of, and to go after creating your juiciest life ever. Now, it's kind of interesting because juicy is a word that has been really on my mind kind of obsessively recently. It just keeps coming back of like, I feel like it's just calling me. Like I just keep wanting to make my life like juicier and juicier, like just leaning into how incredible life can be. And it's kind of funny because I have been working for the last few months on a new workshop and an offer called Juicy. So, I created this offer called Juicy, but I always find in my business that, I'll start working on something, whether it's a new offer or just a podcast episode, whatever it might be. But at a certain point, the thing I'm creating starts working on me and starts like activating and calling out something within me. And so this theme of just living the juiciest life that I can has been really, really on my mind and in my heart recently. And as I have sort of been walking through this, it just encouraged me. Like I said, it activated me, and I wanted to bring that energy to you because at the end of the day, everything that I do, it all comes back to the fact that I just want you to live your best life possible. I want you to understand what you are capable of and that you can go after everything that you desire. So I want to give a little bit of background here as far as why I have been having this experience. So over the last few weeks, I have been noticing these women that I follow online or I listen to their podcast, whatever it might be. I have been seeing these women kind of come into, my awareness who are really focused on doing less to create more impact. So they are not out here grinding it out, trying to do 110%. They are very embodied in what they do. And in so doing, they create such massive impact without having to become burnt out or overwork, all of those things. And I, recognize as I have been seeing these women come up and I think, oh my gosh, I want that. Like I desire to do that for myself. I recognized that, oh, this is a desire that I have in my heart and I am becoming aware of it. And the fact that I have this desire means that I am being called to embody it, means that I am meant to do it. This is not something where my mind is saying, I want that, or, I feel jealous, or I'm comparing myself to other people. This is like, I see them living their lives and my body just feels a yes to it. I'm like, oh, I want that, right? So I've been seeing these women, my body feels this yes, I desire that. I recognize I'm being called to embody that in my own life. And all of this is happening alongside this deep shift that I have been kind of traversing in my business for a while now, probably 6 to 9 months, I would say at least. And it has been sort of floating under the water for me. Like I knew that a shift was coming. I knew something was under the surface, but I couldn't put my finger on it yet. And so recently this has come up into my awareness where I feel much clearer on what this shift is, which is really just about me leaning more fully into what my gifts are and what I am meant to do, which is truly to inspire people and to help people step into the highest version of themselves, to come back to themselves and live that, like I keep saying, that juicy life, to create your own lucky life. That is what I feel is truly part of my gift and my purpose here on earth. But a lot of times I get kind of pulled by my mind into thinking that in order for people to think that I'm valuable and what I have to say is valuable, I have to provide very educational content, meaning I have to give people the answers. I have to tell people the exact 1, 2, 3 steps to follow. And this is something I have struggled with for a while in my business, where I want to provide value, and I've been kind of pulled constantly into creating this kind of content and messaging that does not feel authentic for me. It is coming from this place of almost like an anxiety of feeling like I have to do this. Otherwise, people won't think that, what I have to say is meaningful and valuable. When in truth, what I am meant to do is to stick to my message of inspiration. And when I do that, I lead people to the solutions and to the answers that they need on their own. And this is actually, it's so funny because last week I was on a free workshop that was about human design. And in human design, I'll just make this brief because this is kind of like a deeper layer that I know you might not be familiar with within human design if you're not into it. So in human design, everybody has what is called your motivation. And there are 6 different types of motivation. Mine is hope. I have hope motivation, which means that I am, as I keep saying, I am here to inspire. I am here to lead people to their highest calling. And what they call the transference of hope motivation, meaning when you are out of alignment with your motivation, the transference of that is feeling a pressure to provide answers. And as I heard this on this workshop last week, I almost was laughing because I was like, this is exactly the thing that I have been navigating in my own, business and in my life. And to hear somebody say it of, yes, you actually are meant to do this thing that you love to do, but you feel a little bit scared of, it was so validating. It was such confirmation for me of, okay, I can no longer be that woman who creates this kind of messaging and content out of a place of anxiety or just feeling not enoughness, right? So that's why I love human design, because in astrology, it is so validating. It always reflects back to you who you deeply desire to be, but you just in some ways need a permission slip to remind you, yes, you actually can be that person. You are meant to be that person. You are perfect that way. So anyways, I have been feeling this shift away from really information heavy content and providing value in that way to really just wanting to provide more of my own philosophy, my point of view on things, my message. That's really what I want to share. So both of these things have been happening at once, where I am feeling this pull to live this more meaningful, juicy, deeper life. And I'm feeling this shift internally of, yes, I am meant to provide messaging that inspires people, to lead them back to themselves, to trust themselves. And I don't have to worry about providing specific answers in order for people to find what I have to say valuable. So both of these have been kind of happening at the same time. And as I have been walking through this experience, I just have felt so unbelievably lit up. I have felt so excited in my business. I feel so incredibly activated. And it was just a reminder of, the things that we know consciously, but we oftentimes need somebody to, again, remind us and give us that permission slip of like, yes, the deeper layer that you want, that desire is possible for you, and you are meant to go after that. And so that's why I wanted to create this episode to kind of walk you through that remembrance and that reminder for you as well. And the first thing that I want to talk about is I want to open you up to opportunity. I want you to feel the vast amount of opportunity that is available to you as we walk through this conversation. And I don't just mean opportunity in the form of, there's opportunity to get more clients or to scale your business or even start your business if you haven't done that yet. I am speaking even more broadly than that there is so much opportunity available for you to create a life that is so deeply fulfilling, deeply satisfying, deeply joyful. That is possible for you. And I want you to open up your heart and your mind to recognizing that opportunity is available for you. something that you have likely heard me say before is that I believe your desires are triggers for your destiny. And I have been thinking lately about how important it is and how crucial it is for people to hear those two words together, desire and destiny. Because when people hear the word destiny, they think of it as this very fated, it is meant to happen, this ordained thing, right? But then they hear destiny and they almost tend to think of it as like just a kid who wants ice cream or something like that. It's very superficial, it doesn't mean anything, and you actually should just ignore it. But I have been really receiving this message clearly in meditation recently of how your desires are literally the things that will create your destiny. They lead you to that. They actually light the path for you. I think that's so interesting how we even use the language of this thing lights me up, right? And it's not just that it makes you joyful, happy, excited. It's literally lighting the path forward for you. The things that you love, they light the path for you. And so coming back to this desire and destiny, all of the things that you feel deeply in your heart, like, wow, that would be so incredible if I could live that life. That would be so amazing to have or experience that in this lifetime. That would be so meaningful to me. Those desires are there so that you act upon them, so that you bring them to fruition, because you are literally the one who is meant to make them happen. I want you to be aware of the fact that your desires in your heart are not just a cruel trick that the universe is playing on you. Like, oh, you really want that life? Haha, too bad. Right? Like, you can't have that. That's not possible for you. That's not the way it works. Everything, we think about like just humans and our biology and how we work. Like, the way we have evolved is very practical. Like, we have these things in our body physically that it's like, oh yeah, it's there because of this purpose, right? And I think about that with our desires too, that they serve a very practical purpose, that it is there so that you will take action, because it literally can't happen without you. It needs, the vision that you have actually needs you to act on it to make it exist. So the reason I am saying this is because everything that you desire, if it's working a couple hours a day and then being able to have the time to go to the beach, go lay outside, go read a book, go see a movie, whatever it is, that is meant for you. Now, unfortunately, we have been conditioned throughout our lives to quiet that voice within us, right? And that's why a lot of times you will hear people say, whenever people talk about listening to your true desires, listening to what lights you up, people will sort of cynically make the joke of like, oh, well, what I desire is to sit on the couch all day and not do anything, but I can't do that, can I? And that is the difference between the voice of your soul that is in your heart telling you, I deeply desire this thing, and the voice of your mind. Those are not the same thing. And a lot of times we have difficulty navigating how to differentiate between these two voices because, as I was saying, we have been so conditioned in our lives. And this conditioning says, don't listen to that voice. You need to go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a job, settle down, start a family, right? Follow this path because this is tried and true and nobody's going to judge you. You're going to do what people expect of you. And that's the right way to do things. And of course, as humans, we are wired to stick with what is familiar to us. We want to do the thing that feels really safe to us, even though that's oftentimes not what is actually best for us. And so as we have been conditioned through childhood, adolescence, and in our, teens and 20s, it becomes harder and harder and harder for us to listen to that voice unless we build in the, new muscle memory, right? So a lot of times it's like if you are in your 30s or even just in your upper 20s and you think, well, I've got this really successful career. Like, I couldn't imagine giving this all away, risking it all to start a business. Like, why would I do that? That doesn't make sense. It's not good for my savings. Like, it's not good for this life that I thought I was going to build. Like, it's better to just not rock the boat, okay? Because we are so conditioned to just follow what's smart, what's reasonable, what seems reliable. We think that we need these things because that is what has been told to us our entire lives. But I want to ask you, like, why not you? Why do you want to stay safe and not rock the boat? Why do you want to stick to what other people expect of you? Even certain versions of yourself, the part of you who wants to stay small. Why is it better for you to listen to that version of yourself? Because the thing that I think about is the fact that life is so short. Why not go for it? We come into this world limitless. We can do or be anything, but instead we feel this pressure. We have to follow the path that somebody else laid out for us. And it's kind of like from the moment that you decide to go to college and get a typical job, the rest of your life is kind of planned out for you. And I think that that's really quite sad. And I want to remind you that at any moment in your life, no matter where you are at, you can say, this actually isn't serving me. This actually isn't what I want. And I'm going to go in a different direction, even if to other people or to myself, it doesn't seem logical. Because the path that is possible for you is you are meant to build the business that creates the infrastructure that gives you the freedom, the flexibility to live the lifestyle that you want. Again, I come back to life is so short. And what are we doing if you're not loving every moment of your daily life? So when I say things like, if you want to go lay out in the sun in the afternoon, if you want to take a yoga class, you want to be able to read more, you want to spend more time with your family, pursue more of your hobbies, the things that just feel so deeply gratifying and like make life feel really satisfying, you are meant to create that in your life. You are meant to be the one who shows others how possible and rewarding it can be to follow that which lights you up. I know it sounds kind of cliche and it's cheesy, but it's true. You are meant to romanticize your own life, to live a life that you love. Last Friday, I knew that my husband was going to be gone that evening. And so I was thinking like, oh, I have Friday night like alone. And I decided, oh my gosh, I was sitting actually in the hot tub in the middle of the day. Speaking of living a juicy life, I was sitting in the hot tub and I was like, oh my gosh, it would be so feels so good is I am going to order takeout, get a bottle of wine, get some dessert and watch Perfect Match on Netflix. And that's exactly what I did. And it was the most fantastic Friday night I could have had. It felt so, I have a Taurus Venus. So of course, good food and a bottle of wine is like everything that I desire in life. But it's those little things of, it's a Friday night, but I get to make it something that really lights me up and, kind of in a certain way nurtures my inner child of having this girls' night by myself, at home. It just was so nourishing and restorative to me. And so what I want to ask you is, what is holding you back? Is it the fear of security, safety, reliability? Is it the fear of what other people will think of failure? Is it your own feeling of, I don't know what I would do. I don't know how it can be possible. I'm not sure. I have all these questions. What is it that is holding you back in this moment? If you desire to play with the fullness of life that is possible for you, everything that you are capable of, it starts today. It starts right now. So that leads me to my second question for you, which is, I want you to think about what your version of your juiciest life would look like. And you might have some specifics come through okay, well, I want to be making this much money and I want to work these hours, blah, blah, blah. That's great. I want you to think more broadly, just how do you want to spend your time? What would feel really meaningful to you? What would feel like your soul is fulfilled? If it is having wine on Wednesday nights, if it's going out in nature every single day, if it's having time for an elaborate morning routine every single day, not waking up to an alarm clock, what are the things that would feel so juicy and satisfying to you? And then when you have that vision there and you kind of just sit with it for a moment and you feel that magnetic pull to you, you kind of start to get the flutters in your heart, oh yes, I want that. That would be amazing. I want you to think about how you can start becoming that version of you, how you can start living that life right now. Because everything in life is a mirror, right? So we don't look at our reflection in the mirror and think, why isn't it changing if we stay the same? We know that we have to change, and then the reflection will change. It will follow. And so if you desire to create that life for yourself, it is never going to happen on accident. It's never going to magically appear out of nowhere. It is going to happen because you decided internally that you are that person, that you have that life, and you started to live it right here, right now. So the things that you thought of that are encapsulated in that vision for your life, how can you start doing those things now? And it doesn't have to be something that you implement every single day. It can even just be something that like, okay, can I make space for this one time in the next week or in the next month? Like just finding any practical way that you can to begin to live that life here and now. There's no reason to wait to live a life that feels incredible. It starts right here. More than anything, I want to encourage you to stop waiting. Waiting begets more waiting. You will always be stuck. It's sort of like a purgatory to me. When you are waiting, you're just asking for more of the same thing. You have to take one single step in any direction. It doesn't matter what it is. If you take one step, you'll get the feedback that you need to know, was this the right direction or do I need to go a different way? Does this feel good? Do I want more of this or am I actually leaning the other way? You always will get the feedback that you need, but you have got to take a step forward. And I want you to recognize that it is possible. This is not some lofty, like, let me just fluff you up, make you feel really good for no reason. Like, no. Even if I said at the beginning of this episode, like I'm feeling pulled into a deeper level of embodiment in this in my own life. But if you were to look at my life right now, you guys, I probably work I'm actually going to start timing it because I'm curious. I probably work like 15 hours a week. I do not work very much. I have time to get the movement in every day that I want. I do literally spend like 2.5 hours in the morning, like just meditating, journaling, reading, like my space, my time. I have the space for that. And I have had this level of freedom from the moment that I started my business. I mean, if you know, you know, that's why Business Insider wrote an article about me a few years ago where I said that I work a few hours a week, and at the time as an OBM, I was making over $6,000 a month. That's what they wrote the article about because that has been my life since I started my business. When you start a business, when you follow the thread that you feel in your heart of like, I think I want to go in this direction. I think I'm feeling called to do this. And you follow that. You will be provided with every resource that you need. And it doesn't mean that all of your problems are immediately going to go away. It doesn't mean you are never going to lose a client or, have difficulties financially or something like that. That's a part of the human experience. But I did not wait for my life to get perfect for it to be incredibly juicy and rewarding. From the moment I started my business, I said, this business is going to serve me. I am going to work the hours that I want to work. I'm going to do what I love to do. I'm going to work with people. I'm passionate about serving and helping. And with that foundation, that's all you need. When you have that as the foundation in your business, that's how you create something truly life-changing. And that's why I'm constantly saying, my whole motto, everything I say is, I'm here to help you start the business that changes your life, because that's what's possible for you. You don't have to grind your way 50 hours a week for 3 years to get somewhere. It starts the moment you say yes. And you say, these are my intentions. These are my boundaries. I will not compromise and settle for anything less. Okay? So that is the activation that I want to leave you with. I want you to think. The few questions we talked through in this episode was one, thinking about like, what is keeping you, playing small, minimizing your soul's path? What is it that is standing in the way of that right now? And then thinking about, okay, if I let myself dream of my juiciest life, like what would that look like? What would that feel like? What would be really gratifying and satisfying for me? And then how can I start to embody that right now? How can I start to implement that in my life right here, right now, with the circumstances that I have, and show myself, create the actual muscle memory in my body to say, see, if I want this thing, I can have it. I can make it a reality right here, because you are the most powerful person in your life. I want you to think about that when I ask you that question, what's holding you back right now from really going all the way after what you want? Recognize that no thing and no one holds any power over you at all, period. You are the most powerful person in your life. And if you are not currently feeling that way, some things might need to be reoriented in your life, because you have to live from that place of knowing I am so powerful and everything is possible for me. And so I'm gonna go after it, and just continue to come back to yourself, come back to your own soul, your own heart. Say, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? Continue to follow that path. I promise you, it will never lead you astray. So to close this out today, I want to just give you a couple quick updates on some things happening in my world. As I mentioned earlier, I am working on that free workshop called Juicy and the offer. So this is all about sales, but I'm really excited. I told you I've been working on this for a few months. It's because, you guys, let me actually give you the tea. I built out the entire workshop and the entire offer, and I hated it. I was working on it one day, like just going through finishing touches, and I was filled with so much frustration. And I know, like, frustration for me is the signpost of, okay, something is not quite right here. And so eventually I was just feeling so much frustration, and I literally just closed my laptop and I was like, I don't like this. And I don't understand what I'm supposed to do instead. And so I'm giving it up. And I emotionally walked away from it, and I didn't look at it for a while, and I just said, I don't know what you want this to be, but like, this is not right. And part of that is exactly what I said earlier in this episode, that I basically created this offer that was very like, follow these steps, and I'm a very, like, my mind thinks very strategically. Like, I just think of things in like steps 1, 2, and 3. And like, I'm always creating a framework for things, and I'm very solution oriented. So that's just like how I naturally create things, because it's how my brain works. But I created this offer that I just said, I thought to myself, this is not calling people into their highest potential. Because at the end of the day, I don't believe that you need to follow any specific steps. I really believe that everybody's going to have a different journey to getting to where they want to go. So anyways, I completely gave up this whole thing, and I was like, okay, I don't know what's next then, but I'm giving it up. And long story short, I ultimately felt like I became very clear on, I'm meant to go in this direction with it. And so I am finishing up, kind of completely revamping the whole thing. The entire workshop is completely different, because the workshop and the offer are about sales, but it's really about transforming your relationship to sales and the identity that you hold in terms of sales in your business. And I really believe that this thing that I'm creating, this program that I'm creating, is going to be a revolution for women who struggle to sell themselves, who struggle to get sales, to get clients. I am so excited to be bringing it to you. So anyways, that will be coming out soon. My hope is to have the workshop out for you by June 9th. Girl, don't hold me to dates, because things always are changing in my world, but that's my plan. And then the offer that's associated with it will be in July. The other thing that I wanted to say is, we've been talking about creating this life for yourself. And if you're feeling activated, excited, ready to do this, you want to start the business that will give you the freedom to pursue these things. That is exactly what my program Lucky Day is for. It's an 8-week one-on-one mentorship program. And I will say my next round is not kicking off until, right now my plan is the end of September. So it's going to be quite a while until the next round. But what I will just say is, if you're ready for that, to create that life, because Lucky Day is really about so much more than the business. It's about me partnering with you and saying, okay, what are your goals and dreams? Let me walk alongside with you to help you become that woman and trust yourself in that process. So it's so much bigger than just the business, right? But like I said, the next round is not until probably late September, sometime around there. If you don't want to wait that long, you can sign up for my free workshop, Launch Your Lucky Life. I'll have the link down in the description below. That's all I'm going to say, okay? If you want to get in Lucky Day sooner, sign up for that workshop, okay? And I just always trust like the most incredible women always find lucky day when it's the right time and they have the most transformative experiences and they build these incredible lives for themselves. So I just always trust that like the people who are meant to find lucky day do. So thank you so much for being here, for listening all the way through. I love you and appreciate you so much. If you would please share this with somebody who you think that they might benefit from hearing this, if you would be willing to rate and follow on whatever platform you are listening on, and I will see you in my next episode. Bye.